Hey guys, Gardner. Today I'm going to show you what I think is the best of 3 team in the format right now. Now I will say, quick disclaimer, best of 1, this team still works. I actually still use it a lot on ladder, and yeah, I hit champion tier with it. Wait, hold on, let me adjust the display real quick for you guys. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so basically, um, what I wanted to get out there, oopsie, what I wanted to get out there was that I wanted to show you guys like this team because I feel like it's very strong in the best of 3 meta right now, but I feel like it's kind of hard to prove because it definitely doesn't feel as good in best of 1. But shoutouts to Shohei Kimura, who Victory Road played a variation of this team. Let's take a look real quick. He played a variation of this and went 10-0 in Swiss, alongside a top 4 finish, unfortunately losing to Toto Nabu in semifinals. But he still had a great showing, great performance, and I'm going to show you guys my take on the team and how to use it. So, first things first is Floyd here. Floyd here is a Calm Mind Dazzling Gleam Moonblast set. I didn't really like Draining Kiss. I feel like there was just too many scenarios where you needed the Moonblast damage. And you're not really, like, the point of this team isn't to make Floette immortal and win the game by itself, as you still have other hitters on the team like Garchomp and Aegislash, and Sinistra can still put in their damage here and there. Now, what you need to know about Floette here is... sorry. What you need to know about Floette here is that it is very, very, very strong against teams that just like don't use Sun. But even against Sun teams, you have like win conditions where you can have Garchomp hit the Rock Slide against Charizard and win just like that. Now, I will say that there are also other matchups where you can mix up bringing Floette or Charizard, like just like different modes, and just like beating them with like different stuff. Like for example, against Sand, you can go Floette Instant for your base lead, and then if they try to adapt with that, and they don't bring like say they're playing the Joe UX9 team and they know that you have Floette, they're not going to bring Hydreigon, so what they're going to do is leave Hydreigon behind, and then that's where Charizard Y can shine. The combination of Charizard Y plus Garchomp, because Garchomp Dragon Claw doesn't actually OHKO Hydreigon most of the time, but now that you have Garchomp and Charizard together, you can do a lot of like shenanigans with that. If they do any sand stuff, you can bring in instant and make them weaker, and yeah, it's like it feels very good. So that's like a perfect example of one of those matchups. Another matchup is the Rain matchup. Against Rain, you can Rain, there are like they could lead Pelipper, Basculegion, which like feels very like which just beats your instant Floette lead, but that's like a hard read that they have to make, and if you just go Charizard Y into that, then you're chilling. You're honestly like in such a good spot. Like if you want to hard punish that, you can go Charizard Sinistra, but that's like that's like too greedy. I would probably just lead Garchomp with Charizard. Yeah, and then yeah, let me just quickly talk about how like the team works, what the general game plan is, and then we'll dive more into matchups later. So first, the Floette set. So the Floette here, you need to hit 32 speed because all the other Floettes are using 32 speed, modest. So you also need to hit that. You don't actually need to run max special attack because this isn't like a Light of Ruin set where you need to be hitting big numbers. So with the Calm Mind set, you can afford to run some bulk. With 15 special attack at +1, you are still able to kill like HP invested King Gambits, and that's really the benchmark that you really need to hit with this Floette. And then the rest is just put into bulk to like lift stuff. Sinistra here, Sinistra is very good against Basculegion. The combination of Sinistra and Instant is really, really good into Basculegion, and trust me, we're gonna be running into a lot of that. Now, since we are in a very Charizard heavy metagame, I do feel like Aqua Berry can be considered. In fact, that was the original item used by the person who first made this team. But yeah, this is just what I felt like was good. I've been told that Life Dew can be removed, but after playing the team myself, there's so many scenarios where Life Dew was just like came in clutch. Like I was at a local today, and my Garchomp was slightly chipped, and then I life dewed it back to full, and he didn't have any way to kill it, and that was just like a wrap from there. Like that was just like a perfect example. And yeah, Matcha Gotcha, Life Dew is just healing's just insane. I feel like these are the four moves to use. The only move you could maybe consider running is like Trick Room over Life Dew, just not to what's the word, not to not to set up your own Trick Room usually, but just to make sure that you can cancel Trick Room. However, I'm using minus Speed Nature here just so I can take on Blastoise and Trick Room, which is like a weird thing that does pop up quite often on ladders. So I've considered like maybe like Colbur Berry Spadef sets, but right now this is an anti-Vasculegion Sinistra, so this is what I'm working with. Garchomp. So why Garchomp? Well, Garchomp is just, yeah, Scarf Garchomp's just like the best, like one of the best endgame mons in the game right now. It pairs really well with Floette because it deals with like the fire types that like Floette seems to struggle with. Yeah, you want to live like Jolly Dragon Claw plus Ruskin damage, so this is what I have the bulk in, 19 HP. And yeah, the rest of the 20 Adamant is just like a really good benchmark to hit in a lot of matchups. So that's what I'm going for. And then the choice, this like speed here lets you like, this is a very generic number that lets you outspeed Jolly Mega Aerodactyl, but I will say that a lot of people are using a bit like faster Scarf Garchomps to outspeed opposing Scarf Garchomps, so you can maybe like tweak the EVs here. Incin, in a meta game right now where Throat Chop Incin is the meta, and you want to get sorry, and you want to get your fast fake out as soon as possible, and like we're in a meta right now where Trick Room is just not the most relevant to be honest. It's like still viable, but it's not as relevant as before. I do think that having a faster Incin is definitely key. So we have 11 speed EVs into the Incin here, and then just to go over like a few calcs for this Incin, let me pull them up. So in terms of physical bulk, you do live Wave Crash after -1. You can potentially outspeed Corviknights, which is also helpful for this. So this way you could Moonblast, Flare Blitz, kill a Corviknight. And then yeah, having Spadef as high as possible is just really nice for like Charizards, Floettes, stuff like that. So we have the benchmark to live Basculegion Wave Crash -1, and we also can live. We also just have to rest into Spadef while keeping some speed to outspeed opposing Incins and Corviknight. So this is what we went for. And next we have Charizard here. Charizard, you know the deal. You need to use a lot of physical bulk to level 10 stuff. Would be kind of nice to use a bit more special attack, but right now the speed is just like too good, I think. Against Glimmora especially, if I can like find like a Glimmora set, you want to be faster than Glimmora for sure, which is like really good into this team. If you don't have Garchomp, then you need to find a way to outspeed Glimmora. So this is just like good number to hit for now. Another thing is you live like Adamant Garchomp Rock Slide. You know, that's like the benchmark you always want to hit with like with Charizard. Really, like you need to live Adamant Rock Slide, at least take one, so that way you can swing against a Garchomp still. And then yeah, like you outspeed like Jolly Basculegion, I believe, which is also really nice. Just stuff like that is just, you know. I will say that against Charizard Venusaur, Solar Power could be better than Blaze, so it's definitely something to consider when using this team. But for now, it's whatever. And then Aegislash is just maxed out. Wait, sorry. Aegislash is just maxed out for now, because it's a Focus Sash set. We have Wide Guard to protect from Heat Waves, Rock Slides, you know, all that stuff. Shadow Sneak is, you know, you need to use Shadow Sneak to pin stuff, especially Basculegion. Close Combats for like King Gambit and T-Tar mostly, and then Poltergeist is Poltergeist. Poltergeist is good. You can run Iron Head, but I think Stab Poltergeist is just way too good right now. Yeah, the ghost coverage is really nice. I'm not a big fan of Iron Head. I feel like this team shouldn't really struggle too much with Fairy types as long as you can remove it with Charizard or Floette, and then position Garchomp, you should be fine. You still do a ton of damage to Floette with Poltergeist anyway, stuff like that. Now, Well, that's it. Let's talk about the general game plan, and then where there's certain matchups where this game plan will deviate. So against most teams, you want to go Floet instant lead with Sinister Garchomp in the back. This is the default mode, and it's good into a lot of stuff. It's even against King Gambit leads, it's like it still works fine. So what you usually want to do against King Gambit leads is you can just fake out Calm Mind, and then switch into Garchomp or Sinistra with Parting Shot, Protect, and then you can still just go for like Rock Slide, Moon Blast, and kill the King Gambit. This is the line that I usually went for, and it's really good. It's pretty foolproof, to be honest. Like, there isn't many, like, if they know it's coming, then obviously they can hard counter it, but it's consistent enough. But yeah, usually you fake out Calm Mind to name your game. I did at the local today. Someone did lead High Dragon into me, so I just clicked Dazzling Gleam instead of Calm Mind because I was like, dude, if you're just gonna like lead the High Dragon into me, I'm gonna take that free KO, and then he did go for like Snarl or something, which is like whatever, because then I just swapped the Float out, and then I didn't actually bring it back in later because he forfeited. But if I did, then yeah, would have been wraps. And then yeah, like you want to be able to Parting Shot to Sinistra a lot of the time to heal Floet, and Rage Power Life Dew supports is really strong. And then Garchomp is like just like your good like endgame cleaner, your secondary attacker essentially. Garchomp is so good. That's basically how the team functions. Really, is you're supporting Floet with instant Sinistra, and then Garchomp is also just there to be like hit the stuff that Floet can't hit, and it's also just like a really good like fast with his Choice Scarf, just a fast good endgame cleaner. Now against Charizard Aerodactyl teams, this is where you might want to lead Garchomp plus Floet instead. Garchomp is just to threaten the opposing Aerodactyl. And basically the plan is you want to remove Aerodactyl really quickly, maybe with like Rock Slide plus Dazzling Gleam for like chip damage, and then you can cycle with Incineroar in the back later, and then clean up the game with Incineroar plus Garchomp in the end game is usually like the game plan. And then yeah, Floet's still like a good attacker that like can do stuff in the matchup. This matchup did feel a little bit disadvantageous when they did have Sneasler or Sylveon plus Aerodactyl. So this is why we also have Aegislash in those scenarios where maybe you bring this out instead if they have like those 3 mons specifically, or maybe just 2 of those 3 mons. Against Blastoise Trick Room, you want to go Incin and then either Charizard or Floet. And the name of the game here is you want to Parting Shot to Blastoise early on under Trick Room and bring Sinistra in, and then you're going to hit Machagacha, and then yeah, you're gonna live stuff, you're gonna heal, and it's just like yeah, you after -1 you should live a Dark Pulse, and then yeah, Machagacha, name the game, heals you, does a ton of damage to Blastoise, underspeeds in Trick Room, so technically outspeeds. It underspeeds, so outspeeds in Trick Room, and yeah, you should get that 2-hit KO perfectly fine. You heal a lot of damage. It's great. That's basically the main gimmick. You do want to have like either it's a bit ambiguous, but like you do want to have Charizard Floet in the lead just to like threaten and do damage to Ferrograph, stuff like that, and one of either Aegislash or Garchomp depending on the matchup. Like against like a Torkoal variation, Garchomp, I would say Garchomp in the back over Aegislash is better, and then in the lead it's like it's up to you. Like Charizard is like really good against like rain stuff because then you have weather control. Floet is more consistent damage though, and like if you get like if you somehow get like a plus, like if you can somehow get fake out Calm Mind against the Blastoise team because they did like non-Ferrograph stuff or whatever, then you can just OHKO the Blastoise Moon Blast after a +1 Calm Mind, like straight up. So yeah, it heavily varies on what the opponent's team is, but yeah, that's like the general consensus of what you want to do. Now against Arc Sableye Rain stuff, Instant Floet is still really good. If they don't have Sableye, then Charizard also works as a mix-up in that matchup. And then you want to have Sinistra plus either Garchomp or Aegislash. Sinistra is pretty pivotal with Instant to take on Vascular Legion. And yeah, Garchomp or Aegislash is the better cleaner depending on what your opponent has. Now, to reiterate, I do think that Garchomp is better against like more grounded teams that like don't have like a way to fight EQ. But then Aegislash is stronger against like, for example, Scizor, where they have like it's usually like bug bite, bullet punch, sword stance, stuff like that. Very like niche stuff. It's also better against sorry, what was it again? Against like Sylveon Rain stuff as well. Yeah, that's it, Sylveon Rain stuff. I've fought like one Sylveon Rain team on ladder, so yeah, I was just like, okay, I should bring H Slash instead of Garchomp here in the back. But yeah, like you just need to like base it off of intuition. Really, it's up to you to figure that stuff out on your own. Um, but yeah, this is like the general consensus against Rain. So the gameplay you usually want to go against Rain is if they lead Basque Legion and Sableye, Rain Dance plus Wave Crash is just like is really threatening. But you should be able to live thanks to Flood so should be able to live thanks to Intimidate. And then you can counter move blast into Basque Legion and knock it out. And then after that, you can win by cycling Incin with Sinistra while setting up Calm Mind. Now, against Pelipper plus Basque Legion lead, this is where it's really awkward, and you will have to go like Fake Out to Pelipper and still Moonblast. However, Helping Hand Wave Crash just loses you the game, and if they have Helping Hand on Pelipper, you just don't have an answer to that. Which is why like Charizard might be like better into that approach. Against a normal Rain team, honestly, Charizard is probably the better way to go. Like, and like I don't know, like Charizard instantly, Charizard Garchomp Blade really, and just sending out damage, doing your thing. You honestly could have like base Floette in the back if you really want, like if you really like against a normal Rain team without Sableye, if you really need like a Mon that can just clean up the game against Archaludon, base Floette is actually like really good, because in the end like it's a bit hard to play around the stamina boost, so sometimes you just need like that Moonblast in the back to clean it up after you get some chip damage. It's perfectly fine. Against Perish is tough because this is a matchup where you just don't bring Floette. Floette is not going to beat Perish Trap. That's the reality of it. Floette is not going to win against Perish Trap. If you somehow beat Perish Trap with Floette, you might be the best player in the world. It's just not possible. Okay, you can't do it. Okay, you are never bringing Floette against Perish Trap. What you need to do is you need to lead. What I usually do is Charizard Incin, and then Garchomp plus some other Mon in the back, depending on the matchup between these two. But yeah, you need one of these ghost types in the back, really. I like Aegislash offensively, but if they have like a more offensive Perish team, then you could bring Sinistra instead. But Aegislash is usually my Mon in the back because of Shadow Sneak pins into Gengar, and it's good against combo. But if they have like too much offense, then just Rage Powder Redirection Sinistra also works. So against these teams that have these Perish teams, I'm assuming they have Rain, and you want to preserve the Mega Evolution as much as possible and get like a key turn where you go Mega Evolve with the ball into Gengar, which by the way Okos, the Weather Ball will Oko Mega Gengar. You just want to, but throughout the game you want to be threatening it and just force the Mega Gengar to a protect, and then you go for it. Another play you can, another play you can make is you can immediately switch Charizard out to Garchomp because they usually lead Incin. So if you lead if you lead Charizard and then swap to Garchomp, then you can spam EQ without the threat of Intimidate for a while at least. Now the Gengar matchup would probably be a lot better if you could just bring Sinistra and run Shadow Ball on this. I feel like that would feel a lot better because you do have the Castleberry. You just live like a Shadow Ball from the opposing Gengar, and then you can swing back with your own Shadow Ball. Which, like, you could definitely come up. You could definitely run Shadow Ball on Sinistra just for Perish, maybe. I don't know. It's like, it's still good as stat move and stuff. But yeah, that's like just a thing that I didn't think about. But like, it doesn't really come up too often. But the matchup's pretty hard. You do have to like outplay your opponent and like force them to protect or like position Garchomp correctly. Really, those are the two main win cons. And yeah, just like killing the Gengar by outplaying them. But you have to cover for more than they have to cover, which is why I would say the matchup is slightly hard. And yeah, you just can't bring Floette against Perish. Against Scope Villain, you want to go Incin Floette with Sinistra plus one more in the back. What's really good about Incin really is just the fact that you can use Flare Blitz into like physical attacks into Scope Villain and not get burned because you yourself you're a fire type, right? And yeah, you you kind of don't want to be attacking Scovillain with the Floette because the passive chip that Spicy Spray plus Leech Seed is going to do, but you are going to be taking damage from Leech Seed. So what you need to do is you need to set up a bunch of Calm Minds to get like that key kill, and then if you need to, you can heal with Sinistra and like redirect Rage Powder stuff. Overheat should not be doing too much to Floette after like Calm Mind boost. And then yeah, like fake out parting shot stuff with instant is like the name of the game. You want to be like supporting Floette and just like setting up in front of the Skowron's face and then go for like a big hit in the later game. Now, in the final slot, so like you have Floette, instant Sinistra for the final slot. It's between either Garchomp or Aegis Slash. If it's Aegis Slash is really good, so like if it has like good attacks into the matchup, like for example if there's like Sneasler, Como, like like hold on if I can like I can show you guys like there's this really recycled Scovillain team. This one right here has Sneasler, Como, yeah, like stuff like this, Aerodactyl. They usually don't bring it. Then you can bring like Aegis Slash and just like, yeah, it walls like a lot this team. It really just depends on like what mons they have in the back. Now this is another one of those matchups where you can mix up between Charizard and Floette. So like for example, you could go Charizard plus either Garchomp or Instant in the lead, and then you want Aegis Slash in the back usually. Because you're not really, Sinistra support doesn't really work against Scovillain teams if you're running like if you're running Charizard, because you're not trying to set up Calm Minds in their face. You just can't. You kind of just want to be doing damage. So yeah, it's like Charizard, Garchomp, Instant, Aegis Slash. Those are your four that you could do against Scovillain teams as well as this is like the Sun mode approach basically. This approach is very easy, but remember they always have like ways to take on Sun, because that's Scovillain's like really bad matchup, mega matchup is Charizard Y, so they're always gonna like have like another way to take it on. Now with that said, if you like hard read that they're not going like Mega Aerodactyl mode, then you can just do the Sun mode and it usually should just win against whatever rest of these 5 that he's bringing. It's really just a guessing game, but even if you do, the worst case scenario is you go Floette and they bring Scovillain, and honestly that matchup's still about like maybe even or just slightly losing, to be honest. But yeah, like if you bring Sun against Scovillain mode, you win. If you bring Sun mode against Aerodactyl, you're losing by a good bit. It's like 65-35, 70-30 is my guess. But then if you go Floette against Aerodactyl, I would say it's winning. Because Aerodactyl is just so bad. Like this Aerodactyl mode is just so bad into Aegis Slash in the back on top of Garchomp. So once again, like you have to like guess the mode really. Like I would say Aegis Slash is like against this specific team. I would say Aegis Slash is better into Scovillain mode, but Garchomp is better into Aerodactyl mode with Floette. It's like it varies. Okay, it's a complicated matchup, and this is just one of the Scovillain variants. They might have like a Sand variant, a Rain variant. There's like other variants. Like I can go on and on about matchups, but like I need to keep this video kind of short. It's been going on for like 23 minutes now. But yeah, this is like essentially like how the matchup goes. Really, it's just really complicated. It's a lot of mode guessing, but if you want to play it as safe as possible, you just do the Floette stuff. And then another game plan that you can go for into like random teams of like Lamora, or just ones where you don't want to lead the Mega Pokemon, is you can go Garchomp plus Aegis Slash, and this lets you be a little bit ambiguous. So like sometimes you can, so against some modes you can click EQ plus White Guard. Other times you can go like Rock Slide, like one of these other 3 attacks on top of like just swinging with Aegis Slash and trading damage, and then you can clean up the game with one of your Mega Pokemon plus some random other mon in the back. Against like Glimmora stuff, I really like this lead because like say the Wind Glim stuff, you can just hit Glimmora with Stomping Tantrum, and then finish it off later with Shadow Sneak. And yeah, you're gonna Poltergeist the Whimsicott, do like a ton of damage, maybe even kill it depending on the spread. It's just really good. And yeah, like sometimes into like sand matchups you can just go Garchomp Aegis Slash and spam EQ Wide Guard, but it really just depends on how many ground immunities they have, because sometimes you just, depending on how their team is built, you can't actually do that. But yeah, that's like a small, like very niche game plan that you can do, is Garchomp Aegis Slash lead with like with plus Mega Pokemon plus 1 random on the back. This team is very complicated, but in best of 3, I feel like with all the modes, your opponent has to guess on just how solidly good this is, and how the fact that you're using 2 of the best Megas, and you can bring both Megas to almost every matchup, it just makes it so like versatile and strong, and this is why I think the team is the best in best of 3. I also think it's a very hard team to play, and it's prone to a lot of mistakes, but it's very hard to play against sometimes, because your opponent has to like sometimes it feels like your opponent has to hard call out your play to like have a chance to win. So yeah, this is the team report. I try to keep it as short as possible, but it's still like over 25 minutes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. This is going to sign out. Peace.